All right, good evening. Happy Chinese New Year. Do we have any horses in the audience? One? All right. Um, Also happy Mardi Gras. Today is Fat Tuesday, so happy Mardi Gras to all those people who celebrate that. For those of you who want to celebrate, we have beads available, so come on up and join in the festivities. So we would like to begin the meeting as we always do with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Alex Cook. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Alex. Good to see you again. All right, let's verify that we have a quorum tonight.
Director Medved? Present. Director Cooney?
Present.
Director Bill?
Here.
President Van Vliet?
Here.
Hearing for quorum met.
Perfect. So as you know, tonight is not a normal board meeting. Tonight is a budget workshop. And that means is the protocol is a little different than normal. We will begin with a presentation, but in this meeting, this is an opportunity for members to come forward and give their thoughts, comments, recommendations, and we can engage in a dialogue on that. So we encourage you to do so. And also, contrary to typical board meetings, you don't have to fill out a form in advance. All you got to do is come up to the front, give your name, your tract and lot, and you can go from there. So with that, we're going to turn it over to our controller, Susan Dawood, for the presentation.
Good evening. Nice to see everybody. We have a nice crowd tonight, so that's very nice. I'm going to spend just a few minutes before we get into the discussion portion of the meeting to talk to you about the process, talk to you a little bit about the drivers of this year's budget, let you know some information about the reserves. And Andrea is going to bring up the presentation in just a moment so you can see it on your screen. It's what? Do you want me to do it? Sure. I guess I'm going to bring up the presentation so you can see it. If I can get the cord.
Yes.
All right, here we go. The first thing I want to speak to is the budget process. A lot of you already know our budget process, but I'll just review it briefly. We start very early. We start even in August discussing rates and different aspects of the budget. And when I say we, I mean the Finance Committee. Our chairperson was not able to be here tonight, but her name is Terry Washley. And there are 7 members on the committee, and we have a board liaison, Bill Medved. And so we start the process early. And what we do then is we start talking about the drivers, or what are the economic conditions? What are we going to use to base our budget on for the current year? So this year we came up with some guidance for the preparation of the budget. The fee structure, the Finance Committee recommended a 3.3% increase, the salaries a 3.5% increase, and overall expenses a 2.8% increase. Now, we didn't pull the numbers out of the air. We actually used metrics, and some of the metrics we used were the CPI for the LA County area, the cost employment index, and the construction cost index, California minimum wage, and we even looked at the Social Security COLA increase to come up with those numbers. So I have listed next to our guidance on the screen, if you can see it, it's a little bit small, where we landed. On the left-hand side, we do have a final proposed budget for you. And the fee structure was increased just enough to cause about a 2.2% increase in income. In expenses are coming in at 2.1, and salaries at 0.7%. So you can very quickly see that we more than exceeded keeping our costs contained. How about that? I could see it. I was just assuming you could see it. So here we go. That's a little bit bigger for you, and you can see the numbers that I'm talking about. If we had stayed within the exact guidance and actually come in at those numbers, we would have had a budget of about $15,730,000. However, we ended up with a budget of $13,357,000, which is $372,000 less than what we were even originally anticipating. Some major budget drivers this year that helped us out tremendously was that our liability insurance decreased by $234,000. Our workers' comp also decreased, and that was $146,000. We have more cash in the bank, so we're actually earning more interest and planning to earn more interest. That's helping us out with $174,000. We did have some negative drivers, though. The major negative driver was a California law that was passed this past year called AB 130, which limited the violation invoicing and the violation billing that we can do to the homeowners for not being in compliance with the CC&Rs. That caused a decrease in our revenue of $213,000 in this particular budget. The proposed operating budget that we are presenting today is a mere 0.4% higher than the operating budget for the 24-25 and 2026 year, which is the current year we're in. So not much of an operating budget total increase, even though we had some of those larger drivers that made that up. This slide has a lot of numbers on it, but it's giving us the trend for each of our departments. We have 19 departments as we go across, and you can see that our dues are being proposed to go from $3,098. This is the operating budget only. Keep in mind, it's not the total assessment dues, which includes reserves. So we're going from $3,098 to $3,200 for the operating budget, which is part of your assessments. I prepared this slide by the department or for the departments, which shows how the departments have been performing to their budgets year over year for 4 years. These numbers are variances only. And you can quickly see that if it's green, those departments were coming under budget. If the area is red, or if the department is red, those departments were consistently over budget year over year. In the current year, we are currently running under budget. So we plan on having a surplus at the end of April, which is the end of our fiscal year. I have updated the projection, and currently at this moment, not knowing any unforeseen changes, we are expecting a surplus of $431,000 this year. Department allocations are in this graph. You can quickly see that administrative and operations, community patrol are the largest departments with the largest subsidies. I might mention common areas also come in at 7%. The lake is 10% of your subsidy. I've included information that gives you a historical history of your assessments. Starting in 22-23, your dues increased 3.4%. The following year, 5%. In 24-25, it was 5.3%. In 25-26, they increased 4.5%. And this year, we are proposing a budget increase of 2%, which you can see by comparison is significantly less. I'm going to move on, just touch on the the reserves for a moment. This slide is the assumption data that we use to calculate our percent funded for the repair and replacement fund. We used data that is saying we were suggesting $3.113 million as a contribution for this upcoming year. The projected interest rate on our money and in the reserve fund is 4%. And the component inflation rate, which is also a factor in that calculation, is 2.7%. The big result of all of those numbers and the calculation and what everyone likes to look at is what is the projected percent funded in the repair and replacement fund. With those numbers that make the calculation up, we are projecting 49% for this year, which falls within the Finance Committee suggested guidelines for your percent funded for the reserve funds. I've included some graphs for each of our funds. We have the Repair and Replacement Fund, we have the Road Fund, and we have a CIP fund, which is Community Projects. You can see by just looking at the graph, this is a 10-year look back. The orange, I didn't put it on here. The orange are the expenditures. You can see the orange line for each fund. The road fund is the most volatile, going up and down because of the large road projects. You can see the orange lines going up steeply and back down. The contribution lines are the blue lines. There was in the CIP fund a large project in 2023, and it was Vacation Park. So you can see that line spike up sharply, where we spent a lot of money developing that park from the CIP fund. The average expenditures in the repair and replacement fund are about $1.7 million every year, and that's the money that keeps your community up to date, operating, and repaired. This is the final budget that we are presenting tonight. The operating budget is $15,357,000, which represents, as I said, 0.4% increase from the prior year. The Finance Committee is recommending, again, the $3,113,000 contribution for the upcoming year to the Repair and Replacement Fund. They are recommending a consistent $2 million be contributed to the Road Reserve Fund and $100,000 be contributed to the Capital Improvement Fund. When that is added to the operating budget, the net assessment for the annual dues is $4,286. That means $357 a month for assessments And that would represent a $7 increase for the assessments for the upcoming year. Those are all the statistics and the financial numbers behind the proposed budget. And at this time, I believe we opened the meeting for discussion.
We do. Thank you, Susan. Thank you again for your hard work. I know putting the budget together is a tremendous amount of work. It is months of effort. And we have a number of very competent and qualified people on our finance committee who dedicate their time and talents to reviewing the budget as well over a course of a couple months, I believe. And so this shows the work that results shows all their hard work. So thank you for all your hard work and all the questions that you endure from us along the way. With that, I'll open it up to the audience. If you're here, just all you gotta do is raise your hand and come forward. If you are online, use the chat feature and put in your question, and we will read your question and provide an answer. So would anyone like to be first? There's free beads. Yeah, come on, Dan.
I'm Dan Lekwa, 3778008. I just wanted this print's really small. I just wanted to see the history and stuff of the reserves kind of refreshed and kind of go over what the last couple of years are and where we are now.
Yeah, really good question. And it's still small.
Yeah.
I call it accounting font.
So I'm hoping you can call it out, maybe the last couple of years and what we've done to improve it.
So you were wanting to know the expenditures?
No, reserves,
The reserve balance.
the reserve balance.
Oh, that's not part of my presentation. Are you talking about the,
Well, what we can say is how much was contributed and how much was expended
yes.
in each year over the last, how many years? Like,
Well, yeah, I'm like, what percent reserves funded per year in the last 3-4 years?
okay, I can tell you from this past year's annual budget book, 25-26.
Yes.
If you go on page 40 of that booklet, it tells you what the projected reserves were. And the projected reserve balance at the end of this year was 39%, if we had done that. I will say there's been a lot of work done to that. And given the fact that a number of projects were delayed overall and reductions in costs have been made, now the projection is it'll be at 49%. So it's a substantial increase
That's a
over
great part.
over
By the way, all
last year.
That's a great story in terms of the whole budget as a whole. I want to congratulate you for doing a good job. And the reserves were a particular concern for me, so that's going in the right direction. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Good question.
Okay, thank you. I spent a few years as the president of the family club golf group here, and I'm currently sit on the board. So I'd like to say a few things about from a golf perspective. So number one, the golf course itself is in some of the best shape I've ever seen it, and it's just tremendous. The grass and so applaud there for the maintenance crew and. So speaking kind of from the couple hundred members of the family club, we just noted that, and again, we fully understand costs go up and we want to reduce the subsidies. Looking at the annual, we have a ton of annual players. For residents, the last 2 years, we're going up about 20%. Okay. Outside play, last 2 years, about 12%. So some people would say, well, we're property owners, don't we get some consideration? Point two, Friday and weekends play is getting so heavy now. I mean, it's good. I guess a good problem to have. It's so heavy that it's almost becoming unplayable. There's tons of outside play. And it gets to be where rounds can take 5-6 hours to get through. And, I guess it's a good problem to have, but it really gets to where a lot of residents won't even play on the weekends anymore. So I guess we're asking consideration for ease up on the resident annuals and maybe increase the outside play. And people will also note that a lot of outside play tend to not take as good of care of the course. So that's it.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate your comments. And thank you on that. Let me, if I could just correct a couple of maybe misperceptions, because I've got the fee sheets for the last 9 years here. And they haven't gone up 20% per year. They've gone last year, they went up.
I'm sorry, my comment was 20% in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think they've gone up in the last, let's see, it was
9.4.
about 10% per year for the last 2 years, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
actually the last 3, if you
Yep.
include, if you include what's proposed.
Yep.
The outside members, and one thing, having been the liaison to the Green Committee, I can tell you, it's an apples and oranges comparison on those, because the outside members, when 2 or 3 years ago, and Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. They had a golf cart included. The cart rental fee was included in their dues, and it was taken out last year or the year before. I'm not sure which, and that's why it looks like their fees weren't increased as much, as because they had to bear the additional cost of the golf cart.
Yeah.
And so if you take that into consideration, they actually increased kind of the same percentage wise.
Okay.
That
Thank you.
said, your comments are welcome, and we
Yep.
thank you for the input.
Thank you.
So the finance committee, because we're a number of people, we actually went out and looked at 15 competitive golf courses in the area. And what we found is we were very competitive. And in fact, particularly in the annuals, we were not competitive at all. So by the way, let me refresh the process. This is a recommendation to the board from the finance committee. This isn't the decision that the board ultimately makes that decision, but it's based on real data, based on golfers on the finance committee that went out and collected this information. So it doesn't come lightly. And, there are steps. This has already been made, the 28-day read that we made that said, today, a member can call in a bunch of non-members, let them show up at a prime tee time, take out prime tee time, and not even be there. So last month at the board meeting, we did a 28-day read. We should be able to affirm that in the next board meeting. This is all in response to the feedback that we're getting from our golfers. Is that fair? Thank you.
John, please come forward.
John Kegwin, 3846-021. I'm going to talk about golf fees too. Percentage-wise, it looks to me like the daily fee's gone up 4 or 5%, but the annual fee's gone up, twice that much, almost 10%. My concern is the utilization of the golf course on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is about 100%. And I really feel that if we increase the annuals too much, the resident annuals I'm talking about, I really think they're going to think twice about re-upping their annual. They're going to start counting their rounds, and they may go to, just paying daily fee to play golf. I really feel that these resident annuals are our best customers. They're paying up front. They're paying whether it's raining. They're working on a, not a 12-month year, but it's almost like 10 and a half months because, with rain and which everybody has, but we're closed for 3 weeks. We close 10 Mondays a year, so about a month that the golf course isn't open. So I just think that over the increases we've had for the last couple of years on the annuals, I think might be at a tipping point. As far as doing surveys on other golf courses for annuals, especially public golf courses, my question would be on, are they public golf courses for one thing?
So can I address that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Both, public,
Public, okay.
fully private, and semi-private.
Okay. And well, I know from, being around the golf industry for a long time, public golf courses aren't really interested in annual golfers. They want daily fees. They want to keep their tee sheets open. My question would be, did they ask how many annuals how many did they have? They say they charge, you can put someone on eBay and say, this is how much it is. How many sold, or how many did they give you information on how many actual members they have? Because that would be a key factor, I think, in getting that data. But I just, my point, and I'm reiterating kind of what Paul said, is I just think the annual members, may deserve a little bit more of a break than what they're getting. Okay.
Thank you for your feedback.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening. Sorry, I had an operation on my throat, so I don't talk too well. I live at 30107 Land's End Place. I've been a resident here for about 17 years when I retired. I'm also on the board of directors for the Clams Men's Club. So I got a pretty good read on what's going on in the community. That doesn't insult you folks, because I know you all live here as well. But what I can tell you, that I do think it's a mistake to increase the fees on the golf course. About 40% of our members, residents, are retired on a fixed income. It's not a question of will they pay, it's a question of can they pay. I think there's other ways to either raise money or reduce or cut expenses. One suggestion might be what they did many years ago is sublet the country club, the restaurant, and bring in a revenue rather than have us subsidize it for, I don't know, what is it, 300,000 a year now or something like that. But I do want you to consider that. And although I can afford it, I can tell you there are a lot of people that get a lot of exercise, a lot of social functions, get out of their house and play golf. And things are at a point now, not just with golf, with a lot of things, where they just can't seem to manage. So take that into consideration. If you need a consultant to help figure out where you can dig up revenue, I've done it for many, many years. I'd be happy to help. That's all I've got to say.
Thanks for the offer, Tom. Appreciate that. Just as a point of clarification, we went through the costs, the subsidies of each of our amenities. And I believe at least in the last 10 years, the golf course has always been subsidized. I don't think it's ever not been subsidized. Is that a true statement? Has the golf course always been subsidized? Is never been independently run and money brought in. So that's not a viability for us if we want to continue to have one. So, but thank you for your comments and appreciate the offer, Tom. Thank you.
And it was a much larger subsidy several years ago,
Yeah.
close to $1 million.
The other thing, though, I'd like to reflect a little bit on the country club. I mean, we have continuously over the last 2 years, we decreased the subsidies required for it. So we're making proactive steps. We're measuring how much we spend in salaries versus how much we sell every day, both in the lodge and the country club. And year over year, at least for the last 2 years, we've continued to reduce the subsidies. So that optimization is going on.
Anyone else? Any other offers, suggestions, perspectives, questions? Yeah, Joe, come on. Let me guess, golf.
Well, golf course is my love. We've been here for 34 years and I don't even want to know how many rounds I've played on the golf course. And it's a great golf course. It's a challenging golf course. It's in later years, it's been really, really taken care of well. And we want to keep it that way. It's not perfect, but it's better than most. And I have a group that goes around and plays area golf courses twice a month, and we experience what's out there just for the variety of playing a different place. And we come back to Canyon Lake and we find it to be really, really good golf course to play and to call home. I understand the need for increases. I assume all the fees went up across the board. I know one year when we approved the fee schedule, we just did a flat percentage across the board for fees. But what I'm seeing here with the golf course fees is inconsistencies. And I know you talked about evaluating other courses, comparing them to Canyon Lake. And I mean, there's ways to fix that on a gradual basis. But my question is, do we really need to double the percentage on resident annuals to satisfy what you think the rates need to be? And that, I guess that's my question to you. 5% for green fees, 5% for weekend rates, but a 10% increase, nearly a 10% increase for the annuals. And my question to the board is, do you guys feel that that's justified in the comparison you did when we go and play other courses for 50, 60 bucks with including a cart?
So thank you, Joe. And I want to thank you for your service while you were on the board. I do that in an official kind of manner, so to speak. When we did our analysis, the one thing that was out of line the most were the annual fees. We did do a very thorough breakdown. There's people in this room that worked very hard on it. And it came back that this was one area that we were the furthest out of line with the competitive analysis we did. And we're still continuing to improve the golf course. You know, it's on the books to go work on the bunkers this year. So we're not standing still. We're making progress. We are improving the facility. And there are, as many golfers there are many, many members also that want us to reduce the subsidies in almost all of our amenities. And the best answer we have is, let's do it with facts. That's why we go do research. We do competitive analysis. We look at our run weights. We see the cyclic nature of the expenses. Do we have staffing that matches those cyclic nature, of the usage? Earlier, a gentleman spoke about, hey, we shut down the golf course, it's raining. I mean, those are the kinds of things that we look at. And we'll start looking at income as well. How do we get more income and how do we get better at that? So everything that I think we've proposed, and again, it's a board. I have two roles here. I'm a board liaison to the finance committee, and I'm a board member. And I don't get to make any decision unilaterally, just like the finance committee does. And it's a recommendation to the board. We listen to this feedback. We'll process it. But I can share with you, there's a lot of data behind what we've recommended.
I understand. And I guess my question is, do we need to do it all at once? Do we need to make that step 10% when all the other fees are going up? I assume less than 5%, because with the budget the way it is, I assume the other fees outside golf are less than 5%. Golf fees are 5%. Why not keep consistent with the rest of the fees, which is what we've done in the past, just because usually annual golf is tied to the daily green fees.
So that's not entirely accurate. Last year, we raised equestrian fees by 10% when there was a different flat percentage. And there was an individual analysis done that accounted for a higher level of fee increase. So it's not always ubiquitous across the board. It's not always exactly the same.
Bill?
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about percentages, but I just want to be clear. So in the current model, this percentage translates to $240 a year or $20 a month, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
I
Versus-
do want to say, we certainly hear, again, reason we have these workshops is that we can get direct feedback. And so we appreciate you speaking up on these. These are recommendations that have been provided to the board. The board will make the final decision and vote upon the budget at the next board meeting in 2 weeks. But this is all the data that's been provided to date. We appreciate also the inputs that all of you are providing, and we will weigh it in making our decision.
Okay, I appreciate it. I just want to add $240 this year that'll carry on and be increased again next year, whereas it would be $120 this year, and it wouldn't compound beyond that. I mean, as bad as $240 would now. So that's all. It's an amount that we would be paying well beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone online submitting a chat? Any question?
I do not have any.
None so far? Okay. So we have time. Anyone else? Sure. Is it about golf?
I just want to say I've been in the community over 25 years and been around the golf course, served on the committees, and I think management is doing a fantastic job with the golf course and the country club. You've reduced, not too long ago, we were at $1 million in a subsidy, and I think there's a budget down to 6 something right now, and our ranking has gone from 1 to I think we're at 2, maybe 3. Now we're down to 6. So I think that's fantastic. I just want to, compliment everyone for and, I see Paul sitting over here. He's doing a great job. Steve in operations, our maintenance is doing good. The pro shop, and that's helped reduce our subsidy and increased our usage of the golf course. And in my 25 years, I've never seen it any better. So I just wanted to add that.
Appreciate that, Dave. John, thank you. Anyone else? This is your chance to. No, we can even talk. We'll talk about any topic, any areas. Come on forward, Joe. Yeah.
Well, one last.
Fees, right?
No. It'd be nice if this report was sent out, emailed to the members prior to the meeting instead of seeing it at the meeting for the first time. So if there's any thought about that, it'd be nice if we could see that.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. It's a consideration we'll certainly take under evaluation. One of the things we suggested doing after any budget review or any big event is to kind of do an after action review where we just say, hey, what went well, what could be improved, and what can we do next time? And so appreciate that comment. We'll take that under consideration. Okay. Come on up, Kathy. Oh, and Alex. Good. We have 2 more.
Kathy Lekawa, same one as my husband. Just a question along with that, last comment. Could we get a copy of Susan's charts? Because those have really good data in it. And the handouts are just really the details of the budget. So it'd be really nice to get a copy of Susan's charts too.
Yeah, thank you. One thing is recognize at this point for the budget workshop, these are recommendations forward, so they don't well, I think one of the reasons there's been some reluctance for that in the past is because these are recommendations, they're not final, because the board can make adjustments up or down or sideways on that. And until it's final, sometimes it creates additional noise, but we hear your comment and we'll certainly consider it.
Thank you and good job, Susan.
Alex.
Alex Cook, 3779007. Thank you, Susan. Nice seeing you. I had no plans to come up here and talk today, but here I am. One of the bills, one of the bills can probably answer this question. I seem to remember maybe 15 months ago, 16 months ago, there was a recommendation that the reserve percentage should be between 40 and 60%. Is that the number that we landed on?
45 to 65.
45 to 65.
That was an advisement of the finance committee. Again, based on a lot of research.
I remember that. So I was excited to go from 39 to 49% was a big improvement. So
Yeah.
Props for you guys for actually making this happen, because that my second follow-up question on the reserves, and it even came when I was on that side, is I was always concerned that we weren't funding the road reserve enough. The roads, I don't know, I'm not the expert in the roads, but when you drive around, they don't seem to be holding up as well as they could be when it's raining and so forth. And just want to make sure we're on track. And I know this is an Eric and Steve's question, but not really a question, more of a comment. You guys don't even have to respond to it, but I just want to make sure we're funding that reserve enough to make everything happen. I think I'm going to beat this in the ground just a little bit in golfing. And I think that Joe and everybody said it. I just want to simplify it just a little bit. I think what everybody's saying is that it doesn't seem, I'm going to use the word fair, that the daily green fees are only at 5% growth and the annuals are at nearly 10%. I think that everybody wants to see more of an even playing ground on that percentage of cost.
So Alex, you recommending we increase the green fees to 10%?
I'll be honest with you, I don't have an annual membership and I pay daily green fees because I don't get a chance to go out and play enough. And I say yes. I say yes to that. The annual green fee is a fixed cost for everybody that writes that check. It doesn't matter if they pay 400 rounds or they pay 4 rounds. So it's a fixed cost. The POA gets all their money up front, and then you know what you have budgeted into the program. The daily fee is a wild card. And while it's probably harder to manage to figure out how many rounds a year. I know the Green Committee and Pat do a good job of monitoring that. But I agree. I don't play on the weekends anymore. It's too crowded. And if you have to raise that daily weekend fee to $65, so be it, because that's cheap. And I agree. I think I haven't played a whole lot of other courses, but I haven't played a round of golf on another course on a daily fees on $100 in 10 years. And our course is in far better shape than most of these things, most of these other courses. So just look at that a little bit. I think reduced capacity on the weekends would be huge. And if that means raising the cost, it's the right thing to do. Thank you, guys.
Besides, Alex, besides the addition of raising fees, it would be really interesting to see that when people can sit at home and call their buddies in to play and not have to be there, it'd be really interesting to see what that rule change will do in terms of the weekends. Yes. Agreed.
I think that could help. I think that's one step. There's very little enforcement around the golf course, whether we like it or not. There's people that jump in groups and all of a sudden there are 6 of them that don't pay. There's friends of friends that are coming in and doing that. And I think that part of that is raising those daily fees would help slow that process a little bit. Mind you, there's virtually, I'm thinking about it, outside of Menifee Lakes, there's not another course within 15 miles here of here. So we do have a very, very wide range of people that are trying to get on our course. So anything we can do to reduce that, I think is the right call, and take care of our members first before we take care of the outsiders. Thank you, guys.
Paul.
Paul Hawker, 3804052. I just, it hit me strange that it sounds like an old WC Field jokes that the place is so popular that nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. And it's a juxtaposition. Most of there's an adversarial relationship between the golf active community and the non-golfers that are upset that they're subsidizing the privileged golfers to the detriment, to the expense of people that don't play golf. And I wonder if there's a way that would be appropriate to offset that. And I was thinking that perhaps it would be a good day or a good idea to one day a year have like an open house at the golf course for non-golfers, that they can come, maybe hit a couple of balls at the driving range, be able to drive their golf cart around the course on a guided tour, so they can experience just how beautiful and what a gem this is to this community. I think we need to protect the golf course. I know it's an expensive place to play, but as people say, there's a lot of people that are on tough budgets. They've retired here because there's a golf course, and that's a super important thing to them. So maybe a chance they could come, they could go to have a discount at the store, or maybe have some drinks out there someplace, or snacks or something, just to get the community to come in and have access, because right now they're kind of barricaded. They're not allowed to have any access unless they're going over to the country club for dinner. Just 2 cents.
Well,
No, it's not budget related.
That's very good feedback, and I think I'm hearing more and more about marketing and what we do with that. Though there's one point I would like to make: anyone can go to the driving range. It's open, and some ways it's kind of undesirable to have it just open to the public, because sometimes we run into issues there. But any member at any time that the driving range is open can go without, well, buy a bucket of balls.
Yeah, I understand that, and the putting range is, and the chipping is, but it's intimidating to people that aren't golfers. They don't know the rules. They don't want to, are we supposed to hit the guy in the little cart or let him go? What's the, so they could learn a little bit about etiquette of the game. This would bring more members. People would casually, they'd come out. Pat would give more lessons. I think it would be good for the community and good for the golf community too. But just a quick feedback. I know it's not a budget thing. The only reason I bring it up is that every year the golf course, it seems like it's $1 million here, $1 million there. We got to do the sprinklers. We got to do the bunkers. We get, there's always something, and it's required to keep a golf course nice. And you look around at other communities where they've let their golf courses go, and they've also let the community go. So I think the high maintenance of the golf course goes a long way in maintaining the prestige and the desirability of the community. So,
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate the comments. The other thing, a comment that we hear often is, well, I don't use this amenity. I don't use golf, but but I have to pay the dues, or I don't use the pickleball courts, or I don't use the lake or whatever. And the fact of the matter is, one of the things we have to do as a board is we have to. They're all amenities that benefit our total community, and they benefit all of our homeowner values and so forth. And that's the end of the day is one of the primary responsibilities we have as a board is to take it into consideration. You don't get to pay it's not a pay for use per what you do. It's the fact that we have all these great amenities to do it. And so we have to figure out how to balance all of that. And so that's the job we have to do. But again, really, I love having this forum because this is how we can get feedback from you to deliberate and make our decisions. Dan, do you have another comment?
Dan Lacroix, same property numbers before. Yeah, same as my wife. So they stood down the facility planning committee here a number of months ago. You haven't talked a lot about the reserves other than the improvement in the reserves position. What is the major capital improvements in this year's budget that you still got baked in while being able to retain those reserves? Because I know I've lost the bubble, and I
think
don't
we
know
only
what
have-
we've been doing in the decision-making in the budgets this last year,
We have one.
which is,
The primary one is the golf course bunkers.
Sorry?
Redoing the golf course bunkers. That is the largest project in the repair and replacement reserve.
you're talking about remodeling the country club?
Redoing the bunkers,
Oh,
the sand
bunkers.
trap.
Got it. Okay. All right. So the other items that were in the list are still deferred and out beyond 2020.
There's another one, there's $1 million in for the Lodge Marina to redo the docks. Operations and management has found a way to do a service life extension on that where they can do modifications for a
Okay.
few tens of thousands as opposed to $1 million to extend the life of that by 5 years. And so that's moving out. Also in the projection, I believe they did move the country club remodel out another year.
Okay. And then I want to kind of also weigh in on the comment about if we can get this information like the presentation, the material and the budget information prior to this, the advantage, I'm recognizing that you're floating information that's tentative. It also though builds an ability for us to be able to come here more prepared and ask more insightful questions, which is, I think, your goal of the meeting. So.
And by the way, you still have the freedom, comment received and noted. You still have the freedom based on what you've heard and notes you've taken and so forth that we made available to provide comment in the next two weeks. We're not voting on the budget for another 2 weeks. So this is still going to percolate in that time frame.
So in
for
source
decisions.
material, you mentioned the package we got, which is just the raw kind of.
That's the budget.
Right? And then the briefing, is that going to be made available? The stuff you presented? That information was different than what we got on the entrance.
The question there is it going to change at all?
Is that, I mean, I'm asking what source material that we could have to look at over the next 2.
What's the question? You would
That
like a
inf- that
copy
your-
of
your
the
presentation. Is your presentation going to be made available after this meeting?
I assume we can make that available for you.
Okay.
I don't see why we can't make it available online.
You think-
We're doing it in open session.
Sure.
Why not? No, we're not going to mail it to everyone, but we can make it available online.
Just something that we can get to on, point to.
POA website. Mhm.
Right. And then you mentioned that the budget itself is already available and out last year's. The budget, yeah.
The handout is the proposed budget.
The proposed budget.
The handout that was provided today is proposed. That
There
can go
was
on.
nothing on reserves there. You pointed to something that had the reserve information.
That's in the presentation.
Okay. So the presentation and the budget should be all the information we need, right? Okay.
That's all we have.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate though, that's all draft. I just
Got
asked
it.
who's in the water market draft.
Well, that's what we're providing recommendations
Yes,
based on.
exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
I have to apologize for not printing that for everybody. And you're blowing my little mind because never in my 10 years has anybody really been interested in having that. So my mind is blown and we'll try to make that available for you. So it's very noted. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
Ed, come forward.
Ed Dujek, 3868-206. I want the board to consider one thing regarding the total value of reserves. In the last 5 years, inflation has increased 25%. That's a standard government approval. In effect, we have been increasing the value of the reserve funds by 3% a year. That means there's a 10% shortfall. And it represents a situation, I think if you even ask Steve or Eric, I think most of the items that come up due are basically, as far as the amount of money that is allocated for it, is less than it actually costs to make it happen. And I think we ought to take a hell of a look at that, because that's a heck of a lot of money. I mean, I don't know what the total reserve is, but I would imagine it's somewhere around $40 million. A 10% difference is $4 million.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good comment. And one of the lessons learned from this budget cycle that we've gone through is we've relied a lot on smart properties, which is a tool that's been made available.
I don't care what.
Let me finish, please.
Okay.
The tool we've made available is it provides an estimate of the things within all the assets we have in the community and what might need to be repaired. But it's based on the remaining life of things. It's kind of an actuarial table. That's one data point that we've relied primarily on, that single data point for the past few years. But in addition, what we augmented this time is we said we had management and staff go through and said, what are the likely projects that are going to be going forward in the next year? And we also looked at how much have we been spending in the last few years, and how much are we planning on spending. And so there's now 4 data points that we're using to come up with a better answer to address exactly the question I think that you're asking.
Okay, as long as you're taking care of it. Thank you.
Well, we're looking at it, and we can always get better, but we've increased it by a factor of 4 to try and address. We're not surprised. Yeah.
Percentage difference would be significantly changed if we adjusted it accordingly.
Yeah.
And
Good comment.
I want you to be aware of it. And I think in the long term, this represents a shortfall in the long term as far as costs. Thank you.
Agreed. Thanks. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, fine.
And I wanted to answer the question about the percent funded for the last 5 years. We're trying to get it on the screen, but it's not going up. So we've averaged 47% funded the last 5 years, and that's ranged from a high of 52% and a low of 39%.
I guess the button's it's on. Name's David Nickel. My lot is 3804, lot 10. You know, one time I was thinking about it, we still could give what they call a senior discount for golfers, say they're 75 plus. I understand years ago there used to be one. We have a discount for juniors and other stuff like that. Because most of the seniors out here, I would say the average age, like the men's club, we're losing members all the time, the number of members. And I think sometimes I hear because of prime members, the annual dues. The women's club is going down. And part of that too is probably maybe because of the dues going up for the prime members. I myself, I play 20 rounds. I don't pay the annual dues. But that, I think for a lot of the seniors, 75 plus, they're not really out there for the game. The main thing is to emphasize to get out there, exercise, and to get out with the other people to have a good time. And the other thing I was going to say, as far as I noticed, I mean, the pickleball people, do they have to pay an annual fee? The tennis club, do they pay annual fee equivalent? I guess there's some fees, but there's upkeep and maintenance on in those courts also and stuff sometimes too. So I want to pay. I know even like for the lights for the tennis, do they have to pay for the lights or charge something for that?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I understand your perspective. What I say is one of the factors that the finance committee took a look at is they took a look at we're seeing changing demographics in our golf membership. Largely, I'd say 10 years ago it was more of a social thing, but that's been declining.
Okay.
with much of the population. And it's changing to become more of a financial factor on that. So that's under consideration. With respect to, and it's not really, I mean, it's really not fair to compare a golf course costs and amenities and subsidies with like pickleball or tennis, because they're orders of magnitude difference in cost. I mean, you're talking about $1 million, I mean, $2 million a year to kind of keep the golf course going versus not just subsidy, but all total cost versus, $40,000 a year. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just Apple. It's really, they're just different.
I haven't seen the budget that are they have to be subsidized too, the pickleball
No.
court or
No,
tennis courts?
they're not heavily, they're very small subsidies.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. More time. Okay, I'm gonna limit now. Anyone who's spoken before, we're gonna limit you to this is the last time you can speak.
And we know you're tracking low.
It's still on. Yeah, Kathy, 3778008. I just wanted to follow up with something Dan mentioned. I know we've kicked the country club remodel out. I think last year we kicked it forward. We're kicking forward again, which is totally fine. But one thing I want to make sure is, because we're going to be sitting here a year from now and deciding what we should budget for that sometime, is that we do have a committee or somebody looking at the requirements of that, so that we're not here a year from now guessing whether it's 1 million or 2 million or 3 million. So that's my recommendation.
Totally agree.
And also, I want to recommend everyone, these are the recommendations. The decisions have not been made.
And by the way, I just want to make sure that, again, I go back to the survey feedback that we have, maintain what you have. We still are investing in things that are deprecating in the country club. We're just not doing the big remodel. Okay.
Okay, is there anyone new who hasn't had an opportunity to speak who would like to raise any comments, questions, or provide feedback? Is there anyone online? No comments? Okay, going once? Going twice? Okay, let's go. You made it just in time. I didn't. Press the red button, please.
Okay, just want me to say it again? Okay. Of course, the subject is golf. And I've been out here about 8 years. And I've been very fortunate in my life to play golf in at least half the states in the United States. And I was a member at a golf course in Placentia for many years. And when I come out here, it seems lately it's always crowded. You can't get a tee time. And a lot of times I get in the car and drive all the way out to Palm Desert and play golf and drive back because I can't get a tee time here. I do like the course. I think it's in good shape. I never joined it as a member. I'm still working in the printing industry, what's left of it. I'm about ready to retire at 77 years old. So I'm hoping to have more time, and hopefully I would enjoy this and be able to join it as a regular member. Now, I know a lot of courses like the Del Webb out in Palm Desert. They have a thing that based on how many rounds you play a year. I got a friend that plays every day almost. He plays probably 300 rounds a year, and he gets charged so much. Maybe that's an option to take a look at. Some of the guys that are 75, 80 years old that's still playing golf, maybe they're only going to play 10 or 15 rounds a year. Maybe you can incorporate that in an annual fee. But I know what about all these, I've never seen people sneak on and stuff because I'm not around that much probably and stuff. If they do, that should really be taken a look at. What about some of these people that don't live in a community and are they still allowing them to be members and stuff? I know that was going on years ago. Is that still going on?
We do have outside memberships. We have, I think, up to 70 outside memberships. They do pay a premium, though, a higher premium as a result.
They pay a real high premium.
They do. They pay a higher premium, and the reason for that is the reason we had to go to that is because we had to in order to keep the dues on the resident members lower.
Yeah, well, that's the way it should be. If they don't live here and stuff, they should be paying quite a bit more and stuff. And just, I mean, I usually, because still working and stuff, I usually don't have a big notice that, I might say I could play golf in 2 days and then I'll invite a buddy out. And I think also, I notice when I do bring people in, the guest fees are fairly reasonable. Maybe they could be raised up a little bit and save it on the primary members and stuff. But it's just frustrating because I love the community, and it's the course is a nice course, and it's just frustrating because I can never play, and I have to jump in the car and drive out to the desert usually and play. But anyway, that's just some things to take a look at it, because I think that thing that Del Webb does out there is, a guy that plays 300 rounds a year, he's going to pay X amount and stuff, and a guy that plays 20 runs, they'll take a look at that and they keep track of it. So just something to bring up.
Thanks for your input. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Going once, twice, sold. Okay, we're going to finish with board comments at this point. Lena, any closing comments?
No, I just really appreciate people showing up. There's a lot of work that goes into this. We took the survey really serious, which from the community said, we want you to build up the reserves, and we want you to be cautious of your spending, and we want you to be cautious of the increase in our assessment dues. And that has been the guiding light in this budget. I think the final product, as we talked about, there'll be some pushes and pulls and likely some modifications. But I think the final product will be a tribute to the hard work that's been taken by this board and management to address all of those three very, very loud feedback from the community.
Thank you, Jeff.
Well, I haven't responded too much tonight because I've been taking notes as you guys have been speaking. And I will say that I appreciate everyone coming and speaking and giving their feedback. The Finance Committee, led by Bill, has done a great job on putting this together. I will be consolidating these notes, and we will be taking them into consideration as we move forward with this. And I really do appreciate everybody coming out and talking to us. We don't usually get a lot of feedback, and we really need that so that we can do a good job for everyone.
I think you can sense a feel over the last 2 years with the focus on reserves. That's been something that's come across in many forms and many members that I've spoken to. So I think we're doing all the right things. Can we do better? Yeah, every year we'll do better. But I think we're headed in the right direction. And I thank you for all your participation, because this is a great opportunity for us to be able to interact in a way that's a little more difficult to do in a board meeting. So thank you for coming tonight.
All right, I'll close with just a couple of comments. I think we're in the last, having been on the board now, my 4th year, the last few years have been more difficult for us. We've had a lot of tough choices. Inflation was running high, and it was driving decisions where we had to make some really hard decisions on how do we not drive an increase of dues to $25 a month. And as a result, we had to do some things with pulling the reins back, even some uncomfortable things like limiting how much we contributed to reserves. And so the last 2 or 3 years have been pretty tough. I'm happy to say, due to very good management and very good discipline across the board. I mean, seeing a 0.4% increase in a budget year over year is unheard of in today's day and age. So Eric and Susan, thank you for all of that, and all the team members who contributed with the budget management. It's been an outstanding job, which makes our job a lot easier. And now, so because of that, we can do things like restore the reserves to the proper levels and look at things for the future as opposed to worrying just about today. And so all the feedback you provided is great. Really thank everyone for the great turnout. And we wish you all a good night. We will see you again on March 2nd, 3rd, March 3rd, where we'll do a lot of thinking and evaluating on your feedback in the meantime. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Is there a second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Good night, everyone.